Part 1. Do what is hard. Most people want success. They talk about it, dream about it, crave the rewards it promises. But very few are willing to pay the real price it demands. Because success doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It lives on the far side of struggle. And only those willing to do the hard things ever reach it. Every great transformation begins with a decision. A moment when someone chooses to stop taking the easy road and start walking the path of resistance. That choice marks the beginning of something extraordinary. Not because it feels good, not because it's convenient, but because it forces you to grow. The truth is simple and unchanging. If you avoid the hard, you avoid the growth. If you hide from discomfort, you hide from your potential. The masses settle. They chase comfort, safety, predictability. They build routines designed to minimize risk and avoid hardship. And in doing so, they guarantee a life of mediocrity. But those who achieve greatness, they do the opposite. They go toward the pain. They lean into challenge. They wake up every day with one mission: do what is hard. History remembers the brave, not the ones who played it safe. The inventors who failed 1,000 times before breaking through. The pioneers who defied expectations. The leaders who stood firm when everything around them crumbled. These people weren't born stronger. They simply refused to back down when the road got steep. They understood something most don't, that the mind, just like the body, is forged through resistance. The blacksmith does not shape steel with gentle winds. He uses fire, intense heat, relentless hammering. And in the same way, your mind must be tested, again and again, if it is to become unbreakable. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the proving ground. Every time you embrace the difficult, you are not just moving forward. You are rising above the average, above the ordinary. You are building resilience, grit, and clarity of purpose. Those who avoid hardship will never know what they're truly capable of, because they've never dared to find out. But those who step into difficulty willingly, they uncover strength they never knew existed. And that strength becomes their advantage. It becomes the reason they succeed where others fail. Because success is not a battle fought out there, it's fought in here, inside your own mind. It's a war between the part of you that wants to rest and the part of you that wants to rise. Between fear and faith. Between doubt and discipline. And the question is, when that battle begins, which part of you will win? There will be days when your body aches and your mind screams for you to stop. There will be moments of failure, moments when nothing seems to work. But in those moments you must remember, this is where champions are made. This is the moment that separates those who try from those who do. The path to greatness has always required sacrifice, discipline instead of comfort, effort over ease, purpose over pleasure. So if you want to rise, if you want to do something meaningful, something lasting, stop chasing what's easy. Start choosing what's difficult. Because the hard road, that's the one that changes you. That's the one that builds a life worth living. This is the law of greatness. Those who do what is hard earn what is rare. Now ask yourself, are you willing to do what most won't, so you can live the life most never will? Part 2. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort is the silent killer of potential. Most people don't even realize they've been seduced by it. They build their lives around it, protect it, worship it. They confuse being comfortable with being successful. But comfort doesn't lead to growth, it leads to stagnation. And while they're busy playing it safe, their dreams quietly slip through their fingers. The truth is, comfort is seductive. It whispers lies in your ear. You're fine where you are. Why risk failure? You've earned a break. And before you know it, you've traded greatness for familiarity, ambition for safety, transformation for routine. But no one who ever changed the world stayed inside their comfort zone. Every great breakthrough, every bold creation, every revolution in history came from someone who was willing to feel uncomfortable, who stepped into the unknown when everyone else stepped back. The entrepreneur who risked it all when success was anything but certain. The athlete who trained past the point of exhaustion, refusing to quit when their body begged for rest. The artist who poured their soul into the canvas, facing rejection after rejection, but still showed up. These people didn't just tolerate discomfort, they welcomed it. Because they knew what most forget. Discomfort is not a barrier, it is the door. And that door opens to your untapped potential. The mind, like the body, grows through resistance. A muscle that is never challenged will never grow stronger, and a life that never encounters discomfort will never achieve anything worth remembering. The comfortable path may feel good in the moment, but it leads nowhere new. It loops back into itself, feeding complacency and killing urgency. It numbs your desire to become more. But discomfort? It wakes you up. It challenges your assumptions. It stretches your limits. It forces you to think, adapt, and evolve. When you step into discomfort, you step into growth. You develop courage. You build resilience. You forge the mindset of someone who can handle anything, because you've proven to yourself that you can endure the storm and still move forward. Comfort might feel like a reward, but it is often the trap. A beautiful cage with invisible bars, and the price of staying inside that cage is your potential. Look at the legends. The Wright brothers weren't seeking safety when they tried to fly. They faced mockery. They faced risk. But they believed in something bigger than comfort. So did Ford. So did Edison. So did every soul who left a mark on the world. They chose growth over ease. They chose challenge over routine. And in doing so, they built legacies that still inspire generations. Most people won't make that choice. Most will stay where it feels safe, telling themselves there's always tomorrow, that the timing isn't right, that the risk is too big. But tomorrow never comes for those who keep waiting. Time passes, dreams fade, and comfort becomes a prison. But for those who understand the truth, there is power in discomfort, because it means you're changing. It means you're evolving. It means you're moving forward. Growth begins the moment comfort ends. That's where real transformation starts. Not when you feel ready, not when it's easy, but when it's hard, when it's uncertain, and you choose to act anyway. So ask yourself honestly, are you living or are you just surviving? Are you choosing challenge or are you choosing comfort? Because the world doesn't reward the ones who play it safe. It rewards those who dare, those who act in spite of fear, those who are willing to trade temporary ease for permanent growth. Which will you choose? Part 3. Overcoming challenges with resilience. The path to success is anything but smooth. It's filled with roadblocks, detours, and walls that seem impossible to climb. Setbacks aren't the exception, they're the rule. Failure doesn't mean you're off course. It means you're on it. Every person who's ever accomplished something great has walked through fire. They've stumbled. They've fallen. They've been told no more times than they can count, but they kept going. Not because it was easy, not because they didn't doubt themselves, but because they had something far more powerful than motivation. They had resilience. Resilience is not flashy. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't show up in highlight reels. But it's what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's the quiet strength that rises when everything else falls apart. The force that whispers, try again, when the world screams, give up. Anyone can be excited at the beginning. When the vision is fresh and the energy is high, it's easy to take action. But what happens when the initial fire dies down? When the results don't come as fast as you hoped? When the obstacles feel endless? That's when resilience is born. Resilience isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to face fear and keep going anyway. It's about bending but never breaking. About falling 7 times and standing up 8. About showing up again and again and again, especially when it's hard. Think of the tallest tree in the forest. It didn't grow tall because it was never tested. It grew tall because it withstood storms, winds that tried to rip it from the ground, rains that tried to drown its roots. And yet it stood. Stronger with each trial, deeper with each storm. That's resilience. It's not built in moments of ease. It's forged in adversity. It's strengthened in the very places most people give up. And here's the truth. Motivation will fade. It always does. That burst of energy you feel in the beginning, it won't last. That's why you can't rely on it. What you need is something stronger, something unshakable. Resilience is your anchor in the storm, your armor when life gets hard, your fuel when inspiration runs dry. And you don't need to be born with it. You build it. Brick by brick, choice by choice. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you fail and rise again. Every time you decide to show up when it's easier to walk away. The greats understood this. Edison, who failed over 10,000 times before the light bulb. Lincoln, who lost election after election before leading a nation. Ford, who was laughed at before revolutionizing the automobile. They weren't superhuman, they were resilient. They refuse to be defined by their failures. Instead, they let those failures refine them. Because failure is never final unless you quit. So if you're struggling right now, if you're facing challenges that seem overwhelming, remember this: you are not being punished. You are being prepared. Prepared to grow stronger, to grow wiser, to grow deeper than ever before. Every storm you survive makes you more unshakable. Every fall you recover from makes you more unstoppable. And the more you endure, the more you realize you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. So don't run from the challenge. Rise to meet it. Let it shape you. Let it sharpen you. Let it forge in you the kind of strength that never quits. Because the world doesn't need more people who start strong. It needs people who finish stronger. And resilience is how you finish. Part 4. Goal setting as the starting point. Success doesn't happen by accident. It's not luck. It's not fate. It's not something that magically appears in the life of the chosen few. It begins with intention, with clarity. With a goal so clear, so precise, it burns in your mind like a fire that refuses to be put out. Without a goal, you're not on a journey. You're drifting. You're like a ship without a compass, pushed around by the winds of distraction, fear, and doubt. You may move, but you're not going anywhere that matters. But when you have a goal, a real one, a specific one, you create direction. You create momentum. You give your life purpose. Not a vague wish like I want to be successful or I want to be happy. No. Those are hopes, not goals. And hopes won't take you where you want to go. What you need is a definite chief aim, something so sharp in your mind that you can see it, hear it, feel it every single day. Do you know what you want? Not what others expect of you. Not what sounds impressive. What you want down to the details. Do you want to build a business? How big? In what industry? Do you want to master a skill? Which one? To what level? Do you want to earn a certain income? By when? Define it, declare it, then write it down. Because when you put pen to paper, something powerful happens. A thought becomes a promise. A wish becomes a commitment. You move from dreaming to deciding. And that written goal, it becomes a contract with yourself. One that demands action. One that you are now responsible to fulfill. But a goal without a plan is still a fantasy. So once it's written, break it down, step by step. What can you do today, this week, this month, to move closer? Each step must be clear, measurable, actionable. Success is not built on big flashy moves. It's built on small, consistent actions taken day after day after day. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. You don't need to conquer everything in one leap. Just take the next step, then the next, because success compounds. Discipline multiplies, and eventually the gap between where you are and where you want to be disappears. Remember this, the most successful people you know didn't arrive by accident. They didn't just get lucky. They decided what they wanted. They wrote it down. They made a plan. And then they showed up every single day, especially on the days they didn't feel like it. Discipline beats motivation. Action beats intention. Clarity beats chaos. Yes, you'll stumble. Yes, you'll have days when you fall behind. But if the goal is clear and your commitment is real, you'll get back up. You'll keep going. Because when the why is strong enough, the how reveals itself. So the question is, what's your goal? Not the one you talk about when people ask, the real one. The one that scares you a little. The one that excites you a lot. The one that deep down you know you were born to chase. Write it down, break it down. Then take the first step, and take that step again tomorrow, and the next day. Until your goal is no longer a distant dream, but your daily reality. Success doesn't begin with talent, it begins with a target. So choose yours, lock your eyes on it, and never look away. Part 5. The power of self-belief. There is a force more powerful than talent, stronger than intelligence, and more essential than opportunity. That force is belief. Not belief in luck, not belief in fate. Belief in yourself, in your vision, in your ability to shape your own future, even when everything around you suggests otherwise. Self-belief is the foundation on which all greatness is built. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every revolution the world has ever seen began not with proof, but with belief. A simple idea held with such unwavering conviction that it refused to die. Thomas Edison believed in light long before it filled a room. Henry Ford believed in the car before anyone believed it was practical. The Wright brothers believed in flight when the entire world mocked the idea. They weren't waiting for permission. They didn't need the world to validate them. They believed, deeply, completely, and that belief carried them through every setback, every failure, every doubt. Because belief is what drives action, and action is what builds momentum, and momentum is what makes the impossible inevitable. It all starts in the mind. The person who believes in themselves will try one more time. They'll take one more step. They'll stand when everyone else sits. They'll act when others hesitate. And that extra step, that refusal to back down, that's where greatness begins. Too often we wait for external validation, for someone to tell us we're good enough, for some sign that it's going to work. But the truth is, if you're waiting for the world to believe in you, you'll be waiting forever. Because the world only believes after the fact, after the invention, after the record is broken, after the vision becomes reality. But those who change the world, they believe first. And they believe hardest when the evidence is missing, when the odds are against them, when fear is loud and failure is fresh. That's when belief matters most. Belief is not naive optimism. It's not wishful thinking. It's a decision, a commitment, a way of living that says, even if I fall, I will rise. Even if I fail, I will learn. Even if no one sees it yet, I will not stop. Belief is what keeps you moving when motivation disappears. It's what gets you out of bed when nothing is guaranteed. It's what turns thoughts into action and action into legacy. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack belief. They let doubt grow louder than determination. They let fear speak louder than faith. And so they settle. They shrink. They stay small, not because they have to, but because they've convinced themselves they're not ready, not worthy, not capable. But you don't have to live that story. You can choose to believe. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because belief, when paired with consistent effort, becomes a force no obstacle can withstand. It fuels persistence. It transforms failures into stepping stones. It makes the path bearable when the progress is slow, and eventually it turns what once seemed impossible into something undeniable. So the question is not, do you have what it takes? The question is, will you dare to believe that you do? Because belief is the first victory. Everything else follows. Part 6. Transforming struggles into triumphs. Struggle is inevitable, but whether it breaks you or builds you, that depends on what fuels you. And nothing fuels the human spirit quite like passion. Passion is the fire that makes pain bearable, the fuel that turns setbacks into stepping stones. It's not about applause. It's not about recognition. True passion comes from within, and it doesn't wait for permission. The world's greatest achievers weren't driven by comfort. They weren't chasing a soft life. They were pulled forward by something deeper. A vision, a calling, a purpose that made every hardship worth it. Passion is what makes you move when everything around you says stop. It's what pushes you through late nights, early mornings, and long seasons of doubt. When passion is alive, failure doesn't stop you. It fuels you. Every obstacle becomes a challenge to rise above, not a reason to turn back. Look at history's game changers. Edison failed thousands of times, not because he enjoyed failure, but because his passion for bringing light to the world burned brighter than any frustration. Ford was laughed at for imagining a future where cars were for the masses, not just the elite. The Wright brothers risked everything chasing a dream no one believed in but them. They didn't quit because they weren't driven by results alone. They were driven by why. That's what passion does. It gives your struggle meaning. But here's the truth most people miss. Passion alone isn't enough. Yes, it will light the spark. Yes, it will get you started. But passion without discipline is just a firework. Loud, bright, and gone in seconds. If you want transformation, real, lasting, life-altering transformation, you need consistent effort. You need structure. You need to show up even when the fire dims. Even when the applause is gone. Even when it's hard to remember why you started. Passion will give you the dream. Discipline will build the reality. The world is full of people who talk about what they love, who dream big, post quotes, feel inspired, but never act. They wait for motivation. They wait for perfect timing. They confuse intensity with consistency. But those who truly rise, they don't wait. They work. They take their passion and pour it into habits, into routines, into relentless daily effort. They know that what you do when no one is watching defines who you become. You must become that person. Find what sets your soul on fire, what keeps you awake at night, what fills you with energy even in your lowest moments. That's your signal. That's your inner compass. Then build your life around it. Work for it, sweat for it, sacrifice for it. Because the moment you align passion with discipline, your struggles stop being dead ends. They become launch pads. And no, it won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Because nothing, not talent, not luck, not approval, can match the power of a person on fire for their purpose. So don't just talk about your dreams. Don't just admire those who dared to pursue theirs. Become one of them. Let your passion drive you. Let your discipline guide you. And let your struggle become the reason you rise, not the reason you stop. Part 7. Embracing failure as a stepping stone failure. It's one of the most misunderstood parts of success. We're taught to fear it, to avoid it, to treat it like a dead end. But here's the truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey to it. Every person who has achieved something extraordinary has one thing in common. They've failed. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try or his 100th. He failed over 10,000 times. But each failure taught him something. Each misstep brought him closer to the solution. He didn't see failure as defeat. He saw it as data. Henry Ford faced bankruptcy. He was ridiculed for thinking the automobile could ever be a household item. But he didn't let that stop him. He adjusted, adapted, and pressed forward. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election. He was told he wasn't good enough, smart enough, strong enough to lead. But he rose again and again, until eventually he became one of the most respected leaders in history. These men weren't immune to failure. They were shaped by it. Because failure, when embraced, teaches what success never can. It reveals your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. It humbles you. It forces you to grow. It sharpens your judgment. And more than anything else, it tests your will. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they refuse to keep going after they fall. One setback and they quit. One rejection and they fold. One mistake and they let fear write their future. But the ones who succeed, they rise. They take failure personally, not as proof that they're broken, but as a signal that they're being forged. Because true failure isn't falling down, it's staying down. As long as you're still trying, you haven't failed. You're learning, you're evolving, you're collecting the raw material needed to build resilience and wisdom. And every time you rise again, you send a message to the world, to your doubt, to yourself, that you are not finished. Failure builds character in a way that nothing else can. It reveals how badly you want it. Whether you're willing to fight through embarrassment, disappointment, and pain to become who you were meant to be. Yes, it hurts. But that pain, that's part of the price. That's how you earn your place among the persistent, the courageous, the unstoppable. So when failure comes, and it will, don't run from it. Don't bury it. Don't pretend it didn't happen. Own it, learn from it, and rise because of it. Ask yourself, what did I miss? What can I do differently? What did this experience teach me that success never would have? Because failure is feedback. It's the universe showing you what doesn't work, so you can discover what will. And those who embrace it, not as a curse but as a classroom, are the ones who grow beyond limits. So don't fear failing. Fear not learning. Fear giving up. Fear settling for less because the road got hard. You will fall. You will struggle. You will have moments where everything seems to collapse. But if you rise, if you choose to rise, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and closer to the life you're meant to build. Let failure be your forge. Let it strengthen your spirit. Let it shape your story. Because every great success has failure in its foundation. And the only real question is, will you let it break you or build you? Part 8. Continuous learning for lifelong success. Growth doesn't end when school does. It doesn't stop with a degree or a diploma. Real growth is a lifelong commitment. The most successful people in history didn't rise to greatness because they knew everything. They rose because they never stopped learning. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest and most influential men of his time, attributed his empire not to genius, but to his obsession with learning from others. Thomas Edison, despite his brilliance, remained a student of trial and error. Even after his countless inventions, he approached every problem as if he were still learning. Henry Ford surrounded himself with people smarter than him because he knew that curiosity, not ego, was the key to staying ahead. That's the secret. The ones who rise the highest are the ones who remain humble enough to say, "There's more to know." Knowledge is power, but only when you use it. Reading books, attending seminars, listening to great minds, these are tools. But unless you apply what you learn, unless you act on it, it's just information. And information without action is no different than ignorance. The world doesn't need more people who know what to do. It needs more people who do what they know. Wisdom is not about memorizing facts, it's about using insight to make decisions, solve problems, and lead yourself and others forward. Your mind is like a muscle. If you don't stretch it, challenge it, feed it, it atrophies, it gets weaker. And the moment you think you've learned enough is the moment you start to fall behind. Because the world keeps moving. Industries evolve, ideas shift, new problems demand new solutions. And those who stop learning, who believe they've arrived, slowly become outdated, irrelevant, forgotten. But those who stay hungry for knowledge, who read daily, seek mentors, ask questions, stay curious, they stay sharp, they adapt faster, they lead longer, they win. Make learning a habit, not something you do when it's convenient, but something you prioritize like your health, your relationships, your goals. Learn from books, learn from failure, learn from people who've walked where you want to go. Learn from success, but more importantly, learn from struggle. Write down your lessons, reflect, apply them, turn them into tools. Because a lesson unacted upon is a lesson wasted. And here's the truth. No matter how far you go, there's always more to learn. Your potential is limitless, but only if your learning is limitless too. Never become the person who stops growing. Never let your ego convince you that you've made it. Because even the greatest minds in history knew this. The more you learn, the more you realize how much more there is to discover. So stay open, stay humble, stay hungry, and remember, the pursuit of knowledge is not about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. That's how you evolve. That's how you lead. That's how you build a life of purpose, progress, and power. Lifelong learning isn't a suggestion, it's a requirement. Because the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop rising. Part 9. Taking action is everything. You can dream all day. You can read every book, attend every seminar, watch every motivational video, but none of it matters if you don't move. Action is the difference. It's what separates the inspired from the accomplished, the wishful thinkers from the real achievers. Because no matter how big your dream is, if you don't act, it stays a dream. The world is full of people with brilliant ideas. People who could have built something amazing, but they waited. They hesitated, they talked instead of doing, and now their ideas are just memories of what could have been. Don't let that be you. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Conditions will never be ideal. You'll never feel fully ready. You'll always have doubts, fears, reasons to postpone. But the ones who rise don't wait for certainty. They act through uncertainty. They take the first step. And that step creates momentum. And that momentum builds confidence. And confidence creates more action. And before long, what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. Action is the bridge between your vision and your reality. It's not talent alone that builds success. It's not intelligence or timing or connections. It's action. Consistent, deliberate, sometimes messy action. You don't need to know every step. You just need to take the next one. The entrepreneur who built an empire started with one call, one customer, one sale. The writer who changed lives with words began with one sentence on a blank page. The leader who inspired millions took one bold stand, that's it, one step, and then another. So don't fall into the trap of overthinking. Don't get paralyzed by planning. Don't spend your life preparing to begin. Begin. Start where you are, with what you have, with who you are right now. Your future doesn't depend on perfect conditions. It depends on your willingness to act in imperfect ones. And yes, there will be obstacles. Yes, you'll fail. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. But those who succeed aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who keep moving through it. Because every action you take, even the small ones, send a signal to yourself and to the world. I'm serious. I'm in. I'm not waiting anymore. So ask yourself honestly, are you going to be the one who talks about change or the one who creates it? Because your potential is already there. Your gifts, your power, your fire, it's in you. The only question left is, will you use it? Will you rise? Will you do what is hard? Or will you settle for what is easy and familiar? The choice is always yours. But remember this, time won't wait. The world won't wait. Your life won't wait. Now is the moment, not tomorrow, not someday. Now. Take the step, start the project, make the call, say yes, say no. Do the thing you've been avoiding. Take action. Not perfect action, just real action. Because greatness doesn't come from what you intend to do, it comes from what you actually do. So go. Do what is hard and watch your life transform.